y'all? I said, what's up, y'all? Look at me when I'm talking to you, bro. Nah, I'm just messing with you, man. This is Knockout Boxing 86 TV, and we in here. So check this out, bro. Before I get into today's video, please comment down below. Comment, bro. Comment on the video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. Show your boy some love. Also, bro, if you want to reach me and you want to talk boxing with me, have me hop on a panel, or you want to debate with me, you can do that by reaching out to me at knockoutboxing86@yahoo.com. That's knockoutboxing, the number 8, the number 6 at yahoo.com. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. Canelo Alvarez versus Errol Spence Jr. Who is the biggest star in boxing? Who is the king of the sport, bro? Who is the one that all the fans want to see? So for those of y'all that watch my videos, you'll know that I did a video yesterday on Errol Spence's live gate numbers. And we talked about it, his live gate numbers from the Danny Garcia fight. And we talked about it from the standpoint of how that affects him with Terrence Crawford, right? And so with that being said, I want to kind of dive into it again. But this time I want to talk about it, between him and Canelo Alvarez, because it's a debate from Errol Spence fanatics and saying that he's the new king, that he surpassed Canelo, and then you got the Canelo fanatics like, hold on, bro, Canelo's still the king. And so let me kind of break it down and give you my thoughts on the whole thing. And as always, if you agree with me or disagree with me, leave that comment and we can continue to chop it up. So for me personally, right, Errol Spence outperformed Canelo Alvarez in the live gate in their recent fights. Canelo was fighting in San Antonio. Errol Spence was fighting here in Dallas. And I think there are some mitigating factors as to why that happened. I can't really speak to Canelo Alvarez's pay-per-view numbers. Can't find them anywhere. DAZN hasn't reported them. So, and we can't just assume for those people that had the DAZN app already, the Canelo Alvarez fight was free with their subscription that they pay, but that they never report how many people that own the app were actually watching his fight. So it's hard to see what his watch numbers are, but from a live gate perspective, we do have those numbers, and Errol Spence outperformed them. More people came to Errol Spence's fight than came to Canelo's fight, and I think it's a few reasons that could play into that. And I'll get into those, and I'll tell y'all, who I think is the king of boxing, so to speak, from a fan perspective and generating that revenue and being the biggest star. So a couple of reasons I think that happened. Number one, Errol Spence was coming off a layoff in the ring because of a horrific accident. And so I think it was a lot of intrigue behind the fight. You know what I'm saying? And people wanted to see if he could be the same fighter, be a lesser version of himself, or be better, And so a lot of people wanted to see that, because coming off an accident like that, people always want to know if you can still deliver. So I think that's one reason that he had more. And then also, he's from Dallas, bro. Not Dallas, city. He's from a suburb, DeSoto, which is only like 5 or 10 miles south of the city, bro. Like he's basically from Dallas. So with him being from the area, obviously hometown kid, he got a lot of fans out here. And here in Texas and Dallas specifically, bro. I'm in Dallas too. I live here, born and raised here. We ride for our own, bro. If you from here, if you from the city, we rock with you. You know what I'm saying? Just off of the strength of being from the same vicinity, bro. So he got a lot of love out here in Dallas. So I think that had something to do with his gate performance, in his last fight with Danny Garcia. And then also, your dance partner matters, bro. Danny Garcia is a former unified champion. He's a dog in his own right. He's a great fighter in his own right. And so the level of competition that he was fighting against also brought some intrigue to the matchup, because while Errol Spence is favored, and obviously we saw what he did to Danny Garcia going into that fight, there was a lot of questions. And Danny Garcia is going to test you. So all of that, led to people to be highly interested in that fight. And I think that's why I performed so well. And now for Canelo Alvarez, he still performed well. I think he sold maybe like, if I remember correctly, a couple of thousand less tickets than Errol Spence. So not Not a huge gap, but that couple of thousand made up for a few $100,000, like $200,000-$300,000 in revenue. So that's nothing to balk at. But Errol Spence still outperformed him. But Canelo, people still showed up to watch him too. I think what this speaks to is boxing fans that aren't Canelo fanatics. While we still support Canelo and we think he's great, I think people are really wanting him to fight a better level of competition. I think that has something to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, when you know something's gonna happen between a great fighter and a fighter that's not really on their level, like the Canelo Alvarez and Callum Smith fight that we're talking about here. Like, yeah, Callum Smith is a good fighter, but if you know boxing and if you really watch it, you knew Canelo Alvarez was heavily favored. It'd take a lucky punch for Callum Smith to beat Canelo. You know, he'd really have to hurt Canelo. If they just boxing and assuming that they both are sturdy, you knew Canelo was going to win that fight, right? And he dominated that fight, put on a good performance. You know what I'm saying? But when you feel like, as a fan, you feel like you know the outcome of something, you're less inclined to buy it, right? You're less inclined to go to it because you know what's going to happen. What makes boxing great and what makes big matchups and makes people, you know, really buy and makes the fight sell is intrigue, is whether or not there's some suspense to it. And truth be told, with the Callum Smith fight, there was no suspense, bro. Canelo dominated from bell to bell, you know, in every single round. And so people that thought that going in, they were less inclined to go to the fight. You know what I'm saying? And so on the Canelo Alvarez side, I hear people saying, well, it's a pandemic, and so, you know, people are scared to go out. But Errol Spence fought in a pandemic too, so that's not an excuse, right? They both were fighting under the same circumstances. I do get Canelo Alvarez's fan perspective that Errol Spence was coming off the accident, he had a layoff, and people were more intrigued to see what he could do. I do get that, but I think the main thing is competition, right? What I'd be interested to see is if, let's say, Errol Spence's next fight is against Yordenis Ugas, right, which is a high level of competition. Let's say they fight sometime in the spring or the summertime. And then Canelo Alvarez, who's going to beat the shit out of Avni Yildirim, I'm not even counting that shit. He's supposed to fight Billy Joe Saunders after that. I would like to see what those numbers look like, right? I would like to see Errol Spence versus Ugas' pay-per-view numbers and his gate numbers versus Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders numbers. I think that would give us a better indication of who the pay-per-view king is right now, or who the biggest star in boxing is right now. For right now, in my opinion, you still have to give the nod to Canelo Alvarez, just because it's a lot of questions with the zone and the gauge numbers, and he still sold pretty good, you know, in his own right. You know, because you outsell him one fight by a couple of thousand, when Errol Spence was fighting a far better opponent than Canelo Alvarez, it still shows that Canelo Alvarez is very popular, bro. So, in my opinion, I'm going to say Canelo Alvarez is still the biggest star in boxing. But there's a but in there. Errol Spence is closing the gap drastically, bro. He's closing the gap because of how he's moving, because he's fighting better competition. And I think that Canelo could have a chance to assert his dominance as the biggest star if he fights better competition moving forward. Let's wait to see what he does. Let's wait to see if Errol Spence does. And let's see in their next fight how they perform against each other head to head before we're ready to just call Errol Spence the biggest star in boxing. Let's see how they perform in their next fight. You know what I mean? And we can make a better judgment, because it was a pandemic. Everything's kind of wonky. Everything's crazy. So it's hard to really gauge that. I like to see them both in competitive fights, you know, on pay-per-view where the numbers are reported, and where we can get the live gates as well, and then we'll have a better indication of who the bigger star is. But until then, they're both big stars in their own right. They both have that star power where everybody's calling out their name and everybody wants to fight them. So they're huge. You know what I mean? In the sport of boxing, those are the two for me that generate the most interest, and that are the ones that fans really want to talk about and want to see the most. So you can't knock either one of them. But with that being said, Canelo needs to fight better competition, because Errol Spence is closing the gap because of the competition that he's fighting and because of how big his fan base is. So Canelo has some competition out there, man. So it's good to see. You know, I hope it pushes them both to continue to fight great fighters and to continue to try to be the best, and we'll see what happens, man. But Anyway, bro, y'all let me know what y'all think. You know, who's the bigger star? How do you see it going moving forward? If you think Canelo is the bigger star, do you think Errol Spence has a chance to overtake him and become a bigger star than him? Or if you think Errol Spence is the bigger star, you know, tell me why and go from there. You know what I mean? But you can do that by commenting down below, bro. Leave a comment, all right? Talk to your boy. As well as hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, man. Show your boy some love. Share the video. Do all of that, man. I'm trying to grow this channel, but I need your help, man. I need your help. Hit that like button and subscribe for your boy. And all you other YouTubers out there that's talking boxing on YouTube, if you want to hit me up, very easy, bro. You can reach me at knockoutboxing86@yahoo.com. That's knockoutboxing, the number 8, the number 6 at yahoo.com. I appreciate y'all watching the video. And with that, we out here. Peace.